So I just got back from Lynn Ramsey's You Were Never Really Here, starring Joaquin Phoenix, and it wasn't that good.
Where do you spend your time? What do you do? All day long.
It's done.
Which is really too bad. This is one movie that I was really looking forward to. I saw a trailer way back in like January or December or something for this movie, and it was getting a lot of buzz, a lot of critical acclaim coming out of the Cannes Film Festival and Sundance Film Festival. A lot of people were saying that it was actually a real contender for the Palme d'Or, or however you say that, at Cannes, which is like their most prestigious award. And when I finally saw this movie coming out this weekend, I was like, yes, finally I get to see what everyone's talking about with this movie, and I don't get it. I don't get the praise for this movie. Just like I was saying in A Quiet Place when I said that it was a movie of half measures, that's almost exactly how I feel with You Were Never Really Here. There are some elements that are really good about this movie, and then there are some elements that are so embarrassing that I'm honestly shocked that no one caught them. So let's just go through the positives really quick. The positives are that Lynn Ramsey seems like she is a very competent director. I've never seen anything she's done before, but this movie really feels like she has a distinct style. Maybe not a distinct enough style yet, but she really has a pace and a tone that she sets very sure-handedly in this movie. All of the shots are very creeping and long takes, like tracking down hallways, a lot of lockdown shots, a lot of very minimal camera movement, and it really helps with this ominous, eerie tone and atmosphere to this movie that is consistent the whole way through. So I really respect her for being able to set a consistent tone and a consistent pace for the entire 90-minute runtime. I never felt like the movie was boring, and I never felt like it was betraying itself tonally or thematically, I suppose. Plus, she got Joaquin Phoenix in this movie, which automatically ups its production value and its reputation, because he is one of the most well-known, well-respected actors working today. He doesn't do a whole lot of projects, he doesn't do a whole lot of work, he just kind of floats about between different movies, but everything he's in, from The Master all the way up to this, he's just excellent in. Every role he takes on, he is the shining part of the movie in a lot of ways. And here is no different. He is great in this movie. When he is just given scenes where he can look into the camera or look off into the distance, he really sells his performance. He is legitimately great in this movie. And since he's the main character, he really carries the movie, and he does a great job of really putting it on his shoulders and carrying this movie from start to end. If he was any less good, this movie probably would have fallen on its face for me. Which really brings me into the negatives of this movie. And the first one I will say is Joaquin Phoenix, which, I mean, his performance is still great, but whenever he talks, you can't understand what he's saying. As simple as that. I mean, it's not just him, but almost every performance in this movie is like directed to be very like spacey and almost like drugged out, where everyone just is mumbling and staring.
I've heard of these places. Underage girls.
Senator, if she's there, I'll get her.
Cleary said you were brutal.
But this isn't exactly a big negative, it's just sort of something that I didn't really appreciate. The biggest negative here is probably the story and the storytelling. But the movie here is about Joaquin Phoenix going to try and find this girl and bring her back to her father. And then when his job goes sideways, he has to try and go get her back. And everyone around him starts dying. His mom dies, his friends die, and then a bunch of other random people that he just kind of happens to know dies. And then he decides that he wants to go get the girl back, so he goes and tries to find the girl, and then he just does, and then the movie's over. The entire movie can pretty much be summed up in like one sentence. Joaquin Phoenix is a hitman who is hired to grab a girl, the job goes sideways, and he gets her back, the end. The story is incredibly thin, and that could be fine, and a lot of it is fine because of how well Lynn Ramsey uses the visuals here, except there isn't a heart. It feels like just a bunch of random things that happen, and then he does other random things, and then the movie's over. There isn't a whole lot of like connecting thread. There isn't a whole lot of real character moments that make you understand where people are at emotionally or physically. And as good as Lynn Ramsey is at visual storytelling and shot composition in this movie, she has no handle on action scenes. I don't know if she is just completely unconfident or hesitant about action sequences, but there are numerous times when there could be great action and the movie just doesn't have it. There's a scene when he goes in to get the girl for the first time, and it's shot with all these like security cam footage, and you see him walking in with a hammer, and then you see him about to hit somebody, and it'll cut to a different security camera, and then it'll cut back to another one, and you see him walking, and then it'll cut to the one where he just was, and there's like a guy on the floor dying, and it'll cut back to him, and he's killing someone else. He's like trying to club him, and it'll cut away from that. And it feels like it's cut like this to avoid extreme violence, almost like it's trying to appeal to a PG-13 rating. But then directly after this, a guy gets shot in the head, and his brains and blood go all over Joaquin Phoenix's face. And I was like, what? And then there's random scenes in between this where he like beats up this guy off camera, and then he throws him in his car, and then there's a scene when he shoots two guys in his house, but it's all off camera and you don't see who they are or where they are or how they got shot or if he even hit them. And then there's a scene when he goes to get the girl back, and it's just cutting in between random shots of him like walking, and then somebody's dying in the foreground of the shot, implying that he killed them with the hammer, but you never see it.
Cleary said you were brutal.
I can be.
Look, you see this girl? Is she inside?
So it's this constant inconsistency with itself, where it's like, is it super violent? Yeah, sometimes it is. But then other times it's just like cutting away from it in almost a PG-13 fashion, and I didn't understand why. I'm pretty sure that Lynn Ramsey just has no clue how to direct action, because there is a sequence when Joaquin Phoenix is wrestling with like a police officer, and it's done in this horrific shaky cam where it's just like shooting everything but the action scene. You'll see someone's foot, and you see someone's head, and you see someone's like leg, and then it like pans up to this mirror as the fight ends. And I'm like, you can't see what's happening. What is going on? I have no idea. I can't see who's winning. I can't see who's even fighting. What is happening? It's like she had no choreographer, or she didn't know how to do it. So she would just constantly cut away from it because it looked so bad. But then scenes that she could actually set up easily and shoot easily, she would do. Like a guy's head getting blown off, and then they just kind of like threw some blood on Joaquin Phoenix's face. So it's this weird inconsistency with the action and the directing in this movie that really is frustrating. Not to mention the characters here. Joaquin Phoenix, like I said, is the main character in this movie, but I don't know who he is. There's these weird things that happen throughout the movie where he seems like he has PTSD, where he's flashing back to when he was in the military, and he's flashing back when he was in the FBI, and then he's flashing back to when he was a young kid, and then he's flashing back to like his dad with the same hammer that he uses. And it's like this weird mishmash of scenes that feels like it's just forced in to make Joaquin Phoenix have any kind of character, because the PTSD angle of the movie goes nowhere. He just randomly has these flashbacks to prior events that we never get to see fully and that never come into play later. They just are there and then they just go away. The whole PTSD subplot goes absolutely nowhere, to the point where I don't even know why it's in the movie. Why is it in there? What purpose does it serve other than to give Joaquin Phoenix the most bare bones amount of characterization possible? Am I missing something? Because it feels like it's just shoved in there for no reason. Not to mention the main girl that he has to, like, save, to rescue. There could have been some really nice moments between the two of them, kind of talking and interacting, and maybe him on the run with her. But no, she gets saved by him once, and then she immediately gets kidnapped again, and then she, like, cuts a guy's throat, but we don't see it. We just see, like, her knife on the table all bloody, and then she says it's a really nice day outside in a restaurant, and then the movie's over. So she does nothing, and she's basically a non-factor and a non-character, and it's just bizarre. All of the characters are so flat and boring, and it really makes this movie kind of just bland.
Close your eyes.
New York State Senator has been found.
But not only are the characters super flat, but they're almost motiveless, where Joaquin Phoenix, all of his friends around him are dying, and his mom gets killed, and then there's the scene where he's carrying her body to, like, a lake, and he drops her in, and he puts stones in his pocket to, like, drown himself, and then he sees an apparition of the girl he was saving, like, appear in the water, and then he decides to go and save her. So he goes to this house, he follows some guys to this house, and then he wanders around the house, and she's just sitting at this table with a bloody knife, eating some food, and then the scene's just over. So it's like, what? Because when he decides to go save this girl, it should be this moment of, yeah, let's get the bad guys. And then you go and see him be super aggressive and kill all these people and save the girl. And it just isn't that. He just wanders around inside this house and then finds her sitting at a table eating food, and then the scene's over. What was the point of that? Why can't you shoot action, Lynn Ramsey? Why can't you make a character interesting? I mean, you wrote and directed the movie, but it seems like you're so unconfident with your own material that you can't make a movie work. You've got a good idea here. You've got a solid movie at the heart here. You've got some really good actors. You've got a really good cinematographer, but you can't make the movie right. Am I going insane? Why does this have an 85 on Metacritic? Is there a message to it? It doesn't seem like it. Is there characters? No. Is there a good story? No. Is there good storytelling? Sometimes. Is there good direction? Sure. Is there good cinematography? Sure. But it feels like, again, it's just half measures, where, like, some of the performances are really good, but then they just mumble their way through the movie. And some of the direction is really solid and really well told, and then they can't direct action. So the action is terrible. So it's this constant inconsistency where I just don't know how to feel. It's both A, very frustrating, but B, kind of beautiful in a way. It's this art house movie that doesn't quite commit to being an art house movie, but it doesn't quite commit to being a kind of trashy B movie either. It's just right in the middle where it's just kind of bland. And that's the worst place a movie can be, in my opinion, just right down the middle. And that's exactly what You Were Never Really Here is. Just an average movie. It's probably a 5 out of 10 for me. It's very unfortunate. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.